in the quiet at night, with my heart laid bare, something stirring inside, like a silent prayer. You gave me this flame, a purpose divine. Lord, help me remain in your design. Keep my lamp burning, oh, keep my lamp burning right, keep my lamp burning, oh, till I see your light, till I see your light. Every moment I breathe, every step that I take, all the truth I believe, all the choices I make, you fill me with grace, a vessel refined. Now I seek your face, lead out behind, keep my lamp burning, oh, keep my lamp.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Glad you can make it. We are joined by PJ and Charles. Hope you guys doing well.
Hello.
Oh, groovy, sir. Oh,
Good.
Good.
Voice is a little raspy. Sorry.
No stress, man. It's good to have you guys in. It's good to have everybody in the YouTube lands. Please hit the likes and share the show. So they voted for Flat Earth tonight, guys. So that's probably what we're going to discuss.
Yeah, idiot. I think bearded logic. I think that's Aaron Armstrong. Numpty.
Do you think so?
I think so. Vicky, I think so. I think the way he was reacting to Vicky the last time she was on, yeah, I think it is. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I get a feeling it is, and Vicky thinks it is. But
Well,
I
we
can't
can
say for
find
sure.
out. How was bearded logic come on and actually talk?
Yeah, bearded logic. See if you're Aaron or not.
Yeah.
And if you're not, sorry. But
But
the
yeah, it's
way-
good to see everybody. Guys, please do hit the likes, share the show. Really, really does help. Any globies in that think that the Earth is a globe, well, this is your opportunity to come and show us that flat Earth is fiction, as you guys say. Because the vote so far is Earth is fact or fiction, flat Earth, and it says fact 45%, fiction 55%. So it's quite close. And it's a camel donut 0%. Well, I got ChatGPT to say it's a camel donut, just to let you guys know. So
Did you? Nice.
I saw that.
Yeah, I did something on ChatGPT, and the new ChatGPT. I mean, the guy I did the video on, I didn't realize till afterwards. It's the Vox Pit, the Vosh Pit, and he's a bit of a weird guy. He's a bit of a numpty guy, but he was right about ChatGPT. It is just trying to simp with people, you know what I mean? And not itself, the people who's programming it. Obviously, it's been designed to like people are saying, oh, like I'll stop doing this. No stuff. It's like just say it was going to the doctor and refusing to listen to the doctor. Oh, I'm glad to see you're sticking up for yourself. You obviously know yourself better than a doctor could know you and stuff like that. You know, it's simping for people. It's tickling their ears and letting them hear what they want to hear. You know what I mean? Obviously not the AI itself, but whoever's putting the algorithm in or programming whatever, you know.
yeah.
Not a good thing.
I see. Apparently, they say Witsit was streaming last night or day before something,
Okay.
and calling on everybody who thinks Tiffy was fake.
Oh wow.
Yep.
He's still
Yeah.
going on about that.
I
Hasn't he
watched-
accepted it yet?
I watched it, Flats. It was all
bad.
the same. He doubled down.
But the thing is, I want to see what I find very interesting. Look at this. He seems to have picked up a very big ego.
Oh, nice new hairstyle. He looks a bit Hollywood media
But
type.
that's not him though. You can
Oh,
clearly
okay.
see.
Okay.
But that's how he's trying to make himself look. I mean, look at his
Yeah, of course.
look at that.
Mm.
Um, sorry, this is what his avatar is. Come on, you can see that's generated.
Of course, it's generated. His eyes ain't that piercing.
It's
His
even
eyes,
cut in half. Look at that. It's like,
yeah, and his eyes are not
Render.
that piercing. That does
what's
not
going
look
on?
good.
What's going on? That's my question about this. What's going on? Why is he?
Mm. That's actually on the plane as well, isn't it? It's on a plane anyway, but don't know where
Yeah,
to. But
Just an observation, but he's very into himself. His
that's what I'm
camera
saying.
pans down. He wears a muscle shirt now. It was it was kind of
cringe.
Wait, Whitson,
was
who's got no muscles, is wearing a muscle shirt.
right, exactly.
Okay,
Nice.
let's. This should be good. Let's see. Okay, wait. Let's get to where.
I don't
Oh, there we
wish any
go.
ill will to him or anything. It's just I wish he would have, like when he breaking the silence. I wish he would have repented that he lied, but he doubled
Yeah.
down and just here we go. Yeah.
Well, let's see what it says because apparently, I don't know. This was like calling out everybody, including me or something.
Has he got an earpiece in now? Is that his earphone? Is that just an earpiece?
That's an earpiece.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, what are you guys' thoughts on TFE though? Was it still? Do you still think it was faked, or do you think it was above board?
never above board. It's to do with Duthie, and look at all the people involved. I mean, we knew from the start it was going to be dodgy, and we were right. Yeah, I predicted they wouldn't go. I was wrong. They went, but they still faked it. Look at the people that went. It was well dodgy. Everything they presented was torn apart. The footage they got from the trailer of the documentary compared to the footage they showed of the 24-hour sun and whatever was completely different footages. Yeah, no, of course, still dodgy.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the 24-hour footage they claim to give us.
That's right.
We're still waiting for the mockumentary to come out, and we've just seen all this dishonesty surrounded by that. Like, it's like, why must you accept anything they say?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've made it very clear. It doesn't really matter if the sun is showing there 24 hours or not. It's not going to change the fact that God created an enclosed flat plane.
Yeah, and I like how Duffy when he debated Kingdom in Context. When Kingdom in Context started talking about the sky, he says, we're talking about the shape of the earth here. So you're talking about the sky. That's got nothing to do with the shape of the earth. I'm like, well, hold on. What do you mean it's got nothing to do with the shape of the earth? Yes, we say that. You're looking at the sky has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. But you went to Antarctica to prove that something in the sky proved
he was caught in his own lies.
You know?
Exactly. Listen, this is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Have you measured the diameter of the sun changing since the days of Adam?
I haven't measured it, and I want to
Okay,
point
so
out.
it's a false claim. So you're just appealing to.
Hey, Sean, let me answer. I want to point out to the audience, you are evading the topic of the debate, which is the shape of the Earth, by talking about the sun.
Your whole TFE is about the sun. You
Exactly.
Wow. So he admits that has nothing to do with the Earth. He just admitted it right there.
Oh man, awesome.
This is epic.
Great job,
Sean.
Let him speak. He just burned himself, you know.
Sean, you totally demolished this dude.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I found that very ironic though, because his whole argument is the sun determines the shape of the Earth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now he's like, oh, don't go to the sun. It doesn't determine the shape of the Earth.
Oh yeah. When it suits them. It shows you, man. This whole TFE thing was all about this guy.
And Weiss had a problem, and Weiss was trying to recapture what was lost prior to TFE, and so I think everyone got put on pause and kind of like recalibrated. And now we kind of saw this resurgence just this past week on Vlad's show. And just, hey, let's move on. And we don't have to do that. We know the earth is flat. And I just can't, I can't go past the fact that he deceived a lot of people. Now, all he has to do is apologize and I'll accept it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and it's very frustrating because it's because they doubled down. They called, we're the crazy ones, because we're skeptical, and we asked all the questions. Another thing he did was this particular, he put, he claimed all the, which is true, all the Discord. He was on Discord for 48 hours, 36 hours, all this time. The thing about that is you're not showing your face. You can talk behind, what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not showing my face, but if you're up front and you want to speak the truth and you're defending the truth, then why are you hiding behind an avatar?
Give me
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he was able to, because he knew he was going to get a lot of that. So you do that by just, hey, not showing your face. Hey, I was on. Remember, I wasn't hiding. I was there.
So
to me, if you see it, like, man, my face is up here. I'm broadcasting. I'm YouTube, and like everybody can see me. It's going to be fantastic, And it wasn't like that.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed to, like, when he got caught out, he just didn't stream for a while. But then when he did come back on Witsit, when he did come back on streaming, he said, "Oh, no, I didn't take any time off. I was always around. I was in Discord 24/7."
Yeah, that's right.
That wasn't the point. We were talking about YouTube,
Yeah.
In Discord itself, you don't usually show your faces. You can, obviously, but you don't usually.
Yeah. It's just, it's just very suspicious to me, like those who have nothing to hide nothing.
That's right.
And I like that because it's true.
That is true. Absolutely. Good to see you anyway, Charles.
I know, PJ, it's been a while. I know.
Aye. I mean, I took a few weeks off here anyway because of the situation. You know what I mean?
I know.
I still don't have the chat up just so I don't see the troll information.
No, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I don't read it either. It's really good.
I'm so used to having the chat up because people did used to talk to me, and like our guys used to say, like, if somebody had missed something, our guys would tag me in and say, "Oh, PJ will see it," and which I usually did. But now, because of the situation, I don't want to have the chat up yet. I'll get a few weeks, then I'll put it up there, sort of thing. But at the minute, I just don't want to see what they got to say, so I have it off, and then inside it's covered.
Yeah, it's quite difficult because 90% of the people literally
of course,
are negative.
Yeah.
And it's mostly the negativity is usually based on just parenting nonsense.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's really hard for like some people to ignore. Like, I'm working on that. Like if I ignore it, they won't say a thing. I sometimes all they want is you to be triggered and then start it, and then they got you right where they want you. You're just frustrated and you're angry.
Yeah.
So.
That's it. Exactly. But yeah, guys, like I said, seems to be a lot of globies in chat, so it's amazing that they're not here to come and show us how the flat earth is just fiction. But the polls have changed. 62 votes. Flat earth is fact or fiction. Fact 53%. Fiction 45%. It's a camel donut 2%.
Someone
camel donuts. Woohoo!
Someone misclicked. No.
But yeah. I don't know if you guys watched Level Earth Observer's latest video.
I haven't actually. No, I didn't know he put one out.
Yeah, he's where he's just calling out fake flat earthers, which I 100% agree on. I stand 100% agree on calling fake flat earthers out because, unfortunately, they've always been in this arena from the beginning. hence Jaren and them. And against my better judgment, I still want to think Whitsitt is a actual flat earther. Against my better judgment, I just think he was still caught in the middle of everything, and while his lies caught up to him. And unfortunately, I can't trust him.
And with
because of that.
Jaren,
But I do still believe
Yeah,
he's an actual flat
and with
earther.
Jaren, I mean, he's not a flat earther, but he knows it's flat. He knows
Yep.
it's flat.
Yeah, the thing is, Jaren, he knows it's flat, but he played flat earther from the beginning. You understand? So he has to keep with his narrative because that's what he was there to do.
course.
He's doing his
They're
job.
still associates, though. These two are still associates after
Oh yeah, yeah.
all the name calling and just completely, potty mouthing our community, and just just kept on going. Oh, we're still partners, and well, he changed, and I can't, I don't want to not be. We're not telling you to be as buddy, but but you should come to him and publicly speak against what he's saying against us. Like being really just saying awful things. Anyway, his character is completely shot, and I have no respect for him whatsoever. I hope he finds Jesus, because
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he needs him
Yes.
really badly. But I've seen that's been like the kind of trending wave these days to kind of deny Jesus. And I don't know how does one gather thoughts of themselves like Jesus is evil, he's the bad
Great
man.
apostasy, man. It's crazy, and especially when he used to speak so highly of Jesus, but now he'll speak of him in the Hebrew roots type of fashion, and it's all weirded, and yeah, it's madness.
Yeah, they lost, and
That's
they need
Witsit.
prayer.
Obviously,
They need
Jaren's
to,
completely different. He's like, yeah, I'll pray to Satan.
Yeah, Jaren's just full on
Yeah.
hating God. Whitsitt is fallen into Hebrew roots. But he's got a weird Hebrew root outlook, though.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to kind of point out that does bother me a lot with the flat earth community is they have quite a hatred for Jewish people specifically for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I understand that Jews and things aren't really what they were in the history. You can look at that. But specifically, a lot of them just parrot based on a hatred for some reason. Like, for instance, when we say now we talk about the third temple, now I'm a Kabbalist Zionist, kind of thing. It's like, I'm a Christian. I'm not a Jew. I don't believe in the Antichrist being the Messiah, which they're going to accept, unfortunately, because that's what the Bible says.
Yeah.
The thing is, they parrot people who make stuff up, and then all of a sudden that's all they see. Then they have a negative view against the people. I'm on the other hand, like, we should pray for these guys because they lost. Pray for the Jews. They lost. You know what I mean? I've come to a kind of understanding, like, God's called me rather to care about them than to have a hatred towards them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's good. That's what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I do pray that the people, especially in the flat earth community, will see, because I've seen a lot of, quite sorry to say, hatred towards Jews for some odd reason. It's just ramped up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean that they are evil. By the way, yes, I agree the Jesuits run the system. That doesn't make the actual Israelites who live in Jerusalem and are born a Jew or whatever, doesn't make them evil. They don't run the world. They're just living their ordinary lives like everybody else.
It's like it's just the same we say with Catholicism. Catholics aren't the problem. It's Catholicism that's the problem.
Right.
Exactly that. It's like when we talk out against Catholicism, they're like, "Oh, you guys are you just hate Catholics." No, we don't hate we talk about we talk against their religion they are based upon, because it's false. It's false
Yeah.
doctrine.
The institutionalized religion can be a hindrance to following Christ, when ultimately we're just trying to build our relationship with Jesus. You know, and these doctrinal differences are used as wedge to separate us, because the enemy wants us divided.
Exactly.
And so
Mm-hmm.
and so now we have all these, these two opposing forces constantly at each other, and we're losing our focus, which our eyes should all be on Jesus.
But yeah, thank you, Dave Benefit, £2. He says, "Hey, Flats, good to see you talking about FE." Yeah, I said I'll still talk about FE and stuff. It was voted to chat about tonight. It would be great to see if any Globies will come in here and actually, challenge anything. So we can just accept it that they've accepted the Earth is flat, because I mean, votes are going up, and the fact flat Earth is fact is just building up and building up. So
I need to do some more flat Earth stuff. I mean, I'm more scriptural stuff than that. Flat Earth, but not predominantly a flat Earth channel. But yeah, I do flat Earth stuff. I should do a little bit more. It's because I usually do it here. I don't tend to do it.
look what I'm saying, guys.
Yeah,
Look at this kind of comment. This is
Okay.
exactly what I'm saying. That's total nonsense.
Yeah, that's
This is exactly what I'm saying, Terry. When you write something like that, don't you get some conviction in your heart? Like,
very
listen,
hateful.
maybe the problem's not there. Maybe
Yeah.
the problem's me.
And maybe not all of them do that.
Who says any
Exactly.
of them do it? Do they have any evidence of that? You
Exactly.
understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yep.
There's a lot of sects out there as well. Look at the ones the baby willy biters, the ones that circumcised with their teeth or whatever, or do you know what I mean? There's loads of false crap out there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hi, Brenda. How's it going? Hello, Brenda. I think Brenda's having an issue.
Okay.
I said hello.
Oh, we didn't hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Hello,
I said
how's it
hello.
going?
Did you not hear it? I
No.
want to be heard.
We heard it.
We're here now. How's it going?
It's a pretty good day, actually.
Good.
So, what did you think of Witsit's stream the other day?
I haven't watched. We were going to watch some of it now, but it's good to see you come in. Do you have any thing specific you want to talk about the flat Earth? Why you think it's fiction?
I think it's fiction because we have good evidence that the Earth is not flat. Right?
You want to elaborate on that evidence you're
the
talking about?
evidence would be well, we have eyewitness accounts. People have been into space and have witnessed that the Earth is a globe beneath them. There is other kinds of evidence, all of which demonstrates that the Earth not only is flat, is a globe, but cannot be flat. The final experiment proved that the Earth cannot be flat.
But we just played words from Duffy saying you can't use the sun to determine the ground shape.
The experiment, the final experiment, falsified the flat Earth because it falsified the model, which places the sun orbiting between the two tropics, right? And the sun cannot be south of those, but it was observed to be south of them. So that's a logical contradiction that refutes, falsifies the proposition that the Earth is flat with the sun going around the equator.
Why exactly can't the sun go around the edges on the flat Earth?
Because it can't be somewhere where it isn't.
And what do you mean it can't be somewhere?
Your model
it isn't?
or the flat Earth model,
I don't
well,
have a
then you're not
model.
in the game, right?
No, I'm in the game. The problem is, are you using a map or a model to base your
Flat
assertion?
Earth has a representation of the Earth. A model, that's what a model is any kind of conceptual representation of how it is. And based on that representation, we can make logical predictions based on the model. And the prediction is that the sun will always be above the equator, between the tropics, and it was observed not to be there. And that
Well, can I ask you a favor? Would you be able to present us this flat Earth
yeah, it's
model
the
you're talking of?
Gleason's map.
That's
Yeah,
a map. That's
it's
not
a
a model.
conceptual representation, so it's a model.
No. Do you know the difference between a map
There
and a
is no
model, Brenda?
difference.
Oh, so I use a model to know where to travel with
You
my
could
car.
use a globe to travel on your car. Yes, you could. Yes, you could.
No, you
Sure you
can't
can.
use a
Why
globe.
can't you?
I cannot use a globe. I can't use a globe to say, okay, I'm going to travel 3 hours
Sure
away
you
from here
could.
to a
Sure you
specific
could.
town.
Why not?
No, you can't. It doesn't show you
No
streets. It
roads.
Well,
doesn't
you
show
pick you pick
anything.
you
A
pick
map,
a globe model that shows you streets.
there is only no
You
such
just
thing as a
make
globe
one.
model that
You
shows
can
you
just
streets.
make one.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. There's a difference between a map and a model. Now, you claiming the flat Earth has a model.
Yes.
And then you tell me the map, a
Yes.
Gleason's map,
Yes.
is the model. Do you know what a false
No, there
equivalence
are
is?
true equivalents
How's it a
because
true
it
equivalence?
it's a representation, right, of of reality. It is intended to represent your beliefs concerning the shape of the Earth. Any represent it,
Okay,
it doesn't even have to be physical. It could
It's
just
measured
be
flat.
it could
It's
just
just
be a
measured flat.
concept. It could just be a concept in your head. That's a model.
Okay, so then just like Charles just pointed out, yeah, it's measured flat.
Show me the measurement.
But if we go
Show me
to
the
all
measurement.
measurements, but if we go back to your claim, so you claim then do you ascribe to the Mercator map?
I ascribe to the globe.
And the Mercator map's
No,
a
the
globe
Mercator map
representation,
is a
correct?
projection.
So
Yeah.
is the Gleason's map.
Yeah.
So then it's a
No,
hypocrisy
no.
then, because you're claiming we have to accept the Gleason's map as a model because it's a representation. Now I'm telling you, well, do you accept the Gleason's map? The Mercator map as a representation, which would make it a model in your own
I don't
vernacular.
reify the Gleason's map.
So
Yes, you
exactly,
do.
we don't either. So in other words, you're strawmanning
Does
us.
the Antarctica circle around the edge of the globe, of the Earth? I'm sorry. I mean the flat Earth. Yeah, that's a reification. That's a
According to
reification.
what? According to what?
Because that's what the word means.
No, but according to what? I'm asking you to present the model. Remember, you are trying to reify the Gleason's map onto flat Earth. We're telling you
I'm
it's
trying to
just a
explain.
map. We don't live on a reification
Reification
fallacy.
means to mistake the map for the territory. You take the Gleason's map, which is a projection,
done.
and mistake it, and you mistake
done
it for the territory. It is not the territory.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question to PJ and Charles quickly. Did I not now the whole time tell Brenda specifically the Gleason's map is not a model, so it cannot be classified as a reification because we don't live on a model
Absolutely.
or a
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Luke,
You disagreeing with me doesn't make it true.
map? You trying to push a false
No.
narrative onto us. So you're making a claim that there's a flat Earth model to present that you're debunking, yet you can't present
Do you
this
have a
model to us.
concept? Do you have a concept
by the way.
of the shape of the Earth?
Yes, the way
What is your
God created
concept?
it. You
What
is
see
in the
that
Bible.
you see the avatar.
What is your
It's in the
concept?
Bible. You see that avatar from Charles, the biblical cosmology, the
What
one that God
is your
created
My
the Earth.
concept?
avatar right here. This is the concept.
Yeah, that's the
His
Gleason's
avatar.
map.
Okay,
Yeah, it is.
that's not a Gleason's map. There's
not
no
a map.
Gleason's map on there.
It's the
it's
flat Earth.
a diagram. It's a
No,
bloody
it's not.
diagram. It's not a
It's
map.
the flat Earth. with the North
the
Pole in the
diagram.
center and Antarctica stretched all around the edge. That's the
Okay,
Gleason's map.
I'm gonna bring it up, and then I'm gonna bring it up, and then you show me where the Gleason's map is. Yeah. Where's the Gleason's map? Well, let's do it this way. This is actually gonna be better.
Yeah, that's a side-on view. Show me the top-down view.
There
There's
is
no
no
top.
top-down
There's
view.
no
This
top-down
is
view.
a
And then
description.
of that there isn't.
No, this
That's
is
a
a
side
description.
view, right? If you were to tilt it on its side, it would show, according to by far most flat earthers, the Gleason's map.
But that's not a map. That's a diagram.
No, the Gleason's map. This is a
Uh-huh.
diagram describing the cosmology
So not a map.
described in the
So
Bible.
not a map.
Okay,
then.
so
Could you show me? Could you show me a
so
map?
not a
then?
map.
Show
This
me a
is
map.
a model.
No, it's
This
not
is
a
a model.
model. It's a map.
We don't
I don't
need
live
a
on a
map.
I
map.
didn't say you
I don't
did.
live on a map.
I'm not going anywhere. We're looking at the concept of how it was created.
What
That's
is
it.
your concept?
You're looking at it right
That
there.
it's a
There it
flat
is.
topographical plane, right?
Beautiful. With a
with the North
closed
Pole
system,
with the-
which
Yeah.
which
with the
without
nor-
it violates the first law of thermodynamics.
No,
You
it
have
doesn't.
to have a container.
No, it doesn't.
Second law, yeah.
It doesn't violate the first or the second law.
Yes, it does.
First and second.
Okay. The way the reason the globe violates the first law and the second law is, well, first of all, nature can't create itself. If you're a naturalist, you require nature to have just popped out of infinite
that's-
nothing.
that's
so
not
it
our
created
model.
itself. That violates
not
the
our
first
model.
law. Second,
Keith,
you do ascribe
it's
to the Big
not
Bang,
our
don't
model.
you?
Stop misrepresenting us.
Do you describe to the Big Bang?
Yes.
Do you describe to the Big Bang? Then you
No,
describe to that
the
model.
Big
Great.
Bang.
Okay, the
Keith,
second law
Big
of
Bang
thermodynamics is
not
violated.
the universe popping into existence from nothing.
Oh, okay. Where did the dense matter, the very dense matter,
It
come
was a
from?
quantum nucleation event.
So it's self-created. Well
It
done.
was a quantum nucleation event. These events happen a lot.
Which
No,
self-created. Can matter
Particles
create
come
itself,
into being
Brenda?
and go out of being all the time. They're called virtual particles
Yeah, virtual for a reason. You know what's called
because
virtual
they exist
particles?
for
Because
less
it's not matter.
than a Planck length of time. That's why.
Because it's not matter. Virtual particles aren't matter. They're conceptual.
No, they're real. They have real effects.
You know what is virtual?
It
mean,
means
Brenda?
that they don't exist for a very long period of time.
They don't exist. I 100% agree.
That's
It
not
doesn't
what
exist.
I said. That you're
like I
being
said-
dishonest, Keith. It means that they only exist for a very incredibly short period of time.
So again, I'm asking you, according to the first law of thermodynamics, can matter create itself?
That's not what it says. It
I'm asking
says
you, according
matter
to the
can be
first law,
neither created,
can
matter and energy can be neither created nor destroyed. That's not, so it doesn't say it can't. So
exactly.
it doesn't,
So the matter had to be there. So that's my point. The matter had to be
yeah,
there.
so it
Correct?
only applies within our universe.
So how did the matter just appear?
Like I said, a quantum nucleation event.
Which is
No, it
self-creation.
doesn't-
Exactly. Virtual particles are self-creation.
You need to stop interrupting me and allow for polite back and forth, please. Right? So the laws of thermodynamics apply to the isolated system, which is the universe. They don't apply to whatever existed without the universe.
I 100% agree. It applies to the universe.
Yes.
And is the Big Bang
The Big
part of
Bang
the universe?
is, but what came before is not. There
Can I tell
there
you
could
why-
be multiple
can I tell you-
universes.
So, in other words, you conceding without realizing it that you need an outside supernatural being
No.
like God to have
No.
made the matter for you
No.
to have your Big Bang. Yes.
No, I made no such concession. They just happen spontaneously.
You just told us anything could be outside the universe.
So does stuff outside the universe?
So what was
does it
outside the
exist?
universe? Yes, God. God exists outside
So there
the
was
universe.
pre-existing stuff. What's
God,
God
yes.
made up?
God's supernatural. He's
why
not bound by
did God make himself?
Yes, he's
He
the
made
uncreated.
himself.
He's not
He made
bound by
himself.
natural law.
Right.
Yes. He was the
I
beginning.
can
He
just
is the
say,
end. He
I
was
Yes,
can
one
just
day
say
we'll all
that,
have to go before him, and you can ask him those things.
yeah, I can just say that
Mhm.
what existed before the Big Bang was the quantum foam or whatever people call it. And that always pre-existed. I don't have to propose a God.
But that's the problem you got. Naturalism requires to be bound by natural law, and according to natural law, it
We-
cannot just exist. It has to be
That's
put
not
there
what it
by
says.
someone, which
It only
yes,
applies
exactly
within
what
the
it says.
universe. Outside of the universe, we know what rules
Exactly,
apply.
and the Big Bang was in the
No,
universe.
it wasn't. It was the explosion or the expansion of the universe. It wasn't in the universe. It is the universe.
Right. So the CMB is the universe.
Yeah. Yes.
Great. So can you point to us where an outside source of the universe planted that dense matter to give you your
It was
Big
the
Bang?
quantum foam.
So the quantum foam's
No.
your God then.
It's just stuff.
So in other words, matter made
It's not matter.
You
Yeah,
just
but
said
it's
it's
not
stuff.
matter.
What is quantum foam then? What is quantum foam
It's
then?
the I could show you a picture that people did calculations, but it's just the vacuum state with virtual particles continually spontaneously appearing and then disappearing.
Again, virtual particles don't exist. It's a concept based on
That's
quantum.
what you say.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's what it is.
Well, you don't
Also,
have
you can't have quantum foam because quantum foam is also a concept based on quanta, which requires infinite
everything.
space.
Why can't it be infinite?
First of all, do you not require a space to be to expand into?
The universe isn't expanding into anything.
You don't
it's
have expanding
expanding.
universe.
It's not expanding into anything.
So what's it expanding into?
It's
Then what's it
expanding
expanding
into
into
itself.
if it's expanding?
That makes sense. That makes a
That's
lot
Not
of
a
contradiction. That's an
contradiction. It's not a
oxymoron.
contradiction.
Yes, it is.
That
No, it
is a
isn't.
contradiction. You can't
What
expand
is
into
expanding
yourself.
yourself?
Expansion is out. Yeah, expansion is out. Into yourself is
Yeah,
opposite
it works
vectors.
just
It's
fine.
literally a
The
contradiction.
fact that you're not familiar with it doesn't mean anything. No,
I'm
you're
familiar.
not.
That's why I'm correcting
No,
you
you're
on your
not familiar
contradiction.
with it. It's
Okay, so we understand you don't know what quantum foam is. We understand you don't know
I
what the
told
first
you.
law is.
I
Now
told
the
you what they
second law.
were. Stop.
Do you know why the
Keith,
globe
you
violated?
lied about
Do you
me.
know why the globe
Keith,
violated?
you
the
lied
second
about
law?
you lied
I
about
didn't
me.
lie.
Stop lying.
What is wrong with people always
Because
saying I'm lying?
you
I didn't lie. We
misrepresented what I said just moments ago, and you said I said something different. That's
No,
lying.
no misrepresentation.
I
I am
told you-
correcting you based on your
I told
oxymoron
you
statement.
what the quantum foam was. I told you
Not
that what the first
What's
law
quantum
is.
foam?
I
You didn't
told
tell
you
me
what it
quantum
is.
foam is. You
It's
just
the
said stuff.
continual. It's
You
the
just said stuff.
continual creation and annihilation of virtual particles in an infinite Hilbert space.
Okay, let's quickly do this.
I'm not interested in having a debate with Chat GPT.
Okay. Quantum foam is also known as space-time foam. It's theoretical concept. So I was right then, correct,
No,
guys?
you weren't right. Theory.
It's
theory,
a theoretical
remember
concept.
that theory means something different in science than it does colloquially.
What's a theoretical concept?
A theory,
Brenda?
a scientific theory, is a concept based on.
No, not a scientific
Yes,
theory.
it is.
Theoretical
Yes.
concept. It's not
Yes, it
scientific
is.
theory.
Are you saying the quantum
No,
foam is not a
not.
theory, not a scientific? Yeah, it
No,
is. It's
not
based
scientific.
on our.
Where's the
It's
science?
based on our best physics and experimental data.
Can you please give me this
It's
experiment
it's
that you
modern
have for quantum
particle
foam?
physics. Yes,
That's
it
not
is.
science.
Particle
I'm waiting for an
physics-
actual scientific
Particle
experiment.
physics is science.
Charles, you guys can take on
So,
if you want
so
to. I
you're
think
going to
I've kind
move
of
on to the second
very
law,
much
which
very much.
also does not refute the globe, and in fact refutes flat Earth, because
No.
right
Gas needs a container, period.
says
And
who?
we have a container.
Who says it needs a container?
Says natural law.
There's no such thing as natural law. There's just
All
science.
natural things. My tire needs air in it. And it
Yeah,
has to have that tire is the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What
We have a no.
Cite the gas law that says gas needs a container.
Second law of
That's not a
thermodynamics.
gas law. It's not a
That's the
gas law.
second gas. That is a gas. All
It's the natural law.
all gas laws. Gay-Lussac's
What?
law. Charles' law.
Go ahead.
All the gas laws require, even Dalton's law, which your atmosphere requires to be the conglomerate of all gases, requires.
Where does it
containment.
say in those laws that there is a container needed?
Okay, let's start with Gay-Lussac's. How's that?
Well, the argument used to be that gravity would hold the air, and now they have to run away from that. So now they have to.
No, we don't have to run away from that.
Yes.
I'm making a different argument, though. I'm making
But
a different
gravity as a
argument.
force
I'm denying
being
the very
destroyed.
I'm denying the very
comment.
premise of your argument.
I'm not here to
Okay.
argue. It's just a fact.
Gay-Lussac's law. Okay, yeah, no, you can do it, man.
No, you tell me. What is this law? Where does it say? Where does it
What's
say
pressure?
container? I'm looking for the
Pressure.
word container. Where is it? That's not
Pressure.
container. That's
What's
not
pressure?
what container means.
What is the
Pressure
pressure?
is not container.
P is the pressure exerted by the gas. What is pressure, Brenda?
Pressure is force over area.
Area of what?
Any area.
Let's do it this way. What is pressure?
Sorry, guys. I have a delay. I don't. So that's
I'm
why
sure.
No stress, man.
Yeah,
You
that's
can go
fine.
on.
I can make an adjustment if you let me know. But the point is, there is no law anywhere that says that gas pressure needs a container. That's your interpretation. There's nowhere in any law of gas law.
I want you to please. I want you to quickly read what's on screen here for me,
It's
Brenda.
really
This-
small.
this
I can't
detail.
see it.
Okay, I'll read it for you. Gas pressure is the force exerted by a gas on the walls of its container, caused by the constant collisions of gas molecules.
Yeah. Could you?
So
So what's the key? What's the key
So
word
could
there?
you cite for me that law? Where's
gas
the law?
pressure. You saying you
Those
don't know
are-
what pressure is? I'm
Those
giving you
are
what gas
words.
pressure is.
That's not a scientific law. Words are not laws. Cite.
It's gas pressure.
What's
It's a
the
natural
law?
law. All gas pressure
no, I need-
requires containment. All gas laws require
Yes.
containment to
That's-
exist. Every single one. I'm actually gonna
That's
get
an
on my old,
interpretation. That's an interpretation. The actual law is the formula. Show me the formula. PV equals nRT, right? Isn't that the one?
yes.
It doesn't
That's
say
fine.
anything about a
You can
container.
use PV as
Pressure,
nRT.
it does-
What's V? Well, volume.
volume
And
yeah,
P.
volume
pressure.
is not a container.
What's volume, Brenda?
It's a
it's a measurement of
three-dimensional.
a container.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's how you measure.
Volume is not a container.
Oh, please show me a volume
Yeah,
without
I
containment.
can
Go ahead.
imagine
Find the volume.
a 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cube of air in the middle of my room.
Can
There's no
imagine it.
container.
Oh, which is already in a
No,
contained system.
my
So
room
you're
isn't
literally making a
contained.
point. Well done. Oh, your room's not contained. You don't have
I
walls.
have
You don't have a
my
roof.
windows
you
are
don't have
open.
window.
It's not
Okay.
contained.
Of course,
No,
there
it's
is
not.
contained. Do you have
Yes.
air in your house?
Yeah.
Do you have air in your room? Do you
Yes.
have air outside your room? Okay, great. It's
I
already
think
in
No,
a
you're
pressure
contained
is
begging.
system.
not
Well done.
That's called begging the question, Keith.
No, that's
Begging,
called
no, it's
sticking with
begging the
gas law.
question. You're presupposing.
No, it's called
You're
sticking with gas law.
presupposing that your claim is true in order to disprove my claim.
There's
Yeah.
no presupposing anything. Gas law natural law states that gas requires containment.
It doesn't
or
say
it
that
cannot be there.
anywhere. It says area, it says volume, it doesn't say container. It doesn't. And you can define a volume in the middle of the air, in the middle of your room, anywhere, and there is pressure in that volume.
Okay, I've actually got a presentation I can present you. Do you want
I
to
prefer
me
to have
present?
a conversation.
Well, we are.
Yeah,
having
no,
a
this is
conversation.
about the thermodynamic gas laws and processes for you because you clearly don't have an understanding how gas law works.
You've been
and,
unable to
thermodynamics.
cite any law that supports your position.
I have Gay
You didn't-
Lussac's.
It's called the
What's it,
firmament.
Gay
You didn't
Lussac's?
show me the
Charles
law. The law is the formula.
I gave you every gas law. PV and
PV
RT.
equals nRT equals is not mentioned container. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does in P and V. Literally, you do know your atmosphere requires PV and RT to work. Correct?
Pressure, right? That's
And what's pressure?
pressure.
What's gas
is
pressure?
the force exerted on by particles, gas particles in this case,
Against.
on an area.
We just had
On
the
an
definition
area.
up
That was
minutes
not a
ago.
definition. That was
On the walls of its
that was an
container.
interpretation.
Okay, anyway.
And I rejected it because
I can use a different symbol
because
if you
the
want. a
actual
container.
please listen, this is the crux of my argument. The actual law is the formula, the letters P, V, the equal sign, and NRT. That's the law. What you
What's
what
the N?
you
What's N
cited
stand for?
was an interpretation of the
What does
what
N
you
stand
cited
for?
was an interpretation of that law.
No. What does N stand for, Brendan?
Yeah, I don't recall. What does it stand for?
It's the Boltzmann
so?
constant. Oh, constant of what?
I don't know. You tell me.
Gas. Particles.
Not a container.
In a
No.
container.
No, there's no container is not in there.
Okay, so anyway,
That's
I'm
my
going to let
point.
you quickly listen so I can give a 5-minute. I'm going to give a 5-minute
Keith,
presentation
I want
to explain to you just how thermodynamics destroys your
Keith,
space
I
vacuum.
want
You
you
ready
to
for this?
I want you to understand
Okay,
my
I'm going to mute Brenda. I've muted Brenda so I can give my presentation. I think from now on this channel, if a person can't abide by rules and they want to be rude and over talk, I will unfortunately have to mute them until they decide to actually behave.
I will give. Yeah,
Is
that's
that
good. I
fine,
will
guys?
give Brenda credit. The tone is a lot better than some people. You know what I mean?
Much better. I agree. Thank you, Brenda, for being cordial at least. So we agree. And having the balls to come in.
Unmute me? Oh,
You are unmuted.
I just want this one point to get through, which is the crux of my contention is that the gas laws that people cite do not mention container. They mention pressure and they
All of
mention
them do.
area, but nowhere do they mention volume. I mean, nowhere do they mention a container. That's an interpretation given to you by ChatGPT or the Google reference that you look at,
I learned
and
that
it's
from
Don't
done
need
with
to
it,
use
and it's
ChatGPT.
just a minute.
Gas laws don't require ChatGPT.
Well, that's what
Sorry.
you've been using, and
No. Okay, but like I said, I got an actual presentation up for
Okay.
you, so I can show you. Is that fine?
okay.
Okay. So thermodynamics, why it destroys the space vacuum? Well, thermodynamics is simply stated as the science of energy. It's a natural law. The thing you said didn't exist. The word thermodynamic systems from Greek. Therma means heat and dynamics means power. So its principle is that it deals with heat and work. Now, to understand the thermodynamics, it's used in everyday living. Mostly everything we use today is based on thermodynamic understanding that you have usable and non-usable energy. Let's start with a combustion engine. See, it's a closed system. Heat comes in, work goes out. Now, how this works is simple. Energy is from the heat, it's transformed into work. So as the gas expands, it works, and as a result, it cools down. The energy was transferred to move the piston that it attracted to a conrod, which is attached to the crankshaft to get the flywheel turning. These are based on gas laws, just to let you know. Okay, so The thermodynamic systems are very important to the understanding of this principle as it denotes the transfer relationship between a system and its surroundings. An open system, matter and energy can pass through its boundaries. A closed system, no matter can pass through its boundaries, only energy. An isolated system, no matter or energy can pass through its boundaries. All gas laws abide by thermodynamic law. The behavior of gas will always abide by the thermodynamic law. What gas laws are there? Well, first we start with Boyle's law. This is the Boyle's law. You see, they even give a demonstration on the side. Boyle's law states that the volume of a given amount of gas held at a constant temperature varies universally with applied pressure when the temperature and mass are constant. Notice that these are always done in containers. See, if you're pressing it down, it decreases the volume and it increases the pressure. If you pull out the container, in other words, you increase the volume, the container, the pressure decreases. So, the behavior of gas will always abide by thermodynamic law. Avogadro's law. This is what we saw now in the engine as well. It gives the relationship between the volume and the amount of gas molecules when pressure and temperature are held constant. This is volume 1, amount of gas, equals volume 2, amount of gas. Okay? So, Gay-Lussac's law states that the pressure of a given amount of gas held at a constant volume, aka the container stays the same, is directly proportional to the Kelvin temperature. So when you heat it up, it has a relationship change to its pressure. So that's why when you heat something up in a closed container, the pressure builds up because those gas molecules are moving faster and having more collisions. Now, what do they all have in common? Containment was required. Kinetic molecule theory, the thing you say doesn't exist with gas, okay? Gases are composed of a large number of particles that behave like hard spherical objects in a state of constant random motion. I think you've heard of Brownian motion before. That kind of explains if you want a visualization of that. These particles move in a straight line until they collide with another particle or the walls of the container. These particles are much smaller than the distance between particles. Most of the volume of a gas is therefore empty space, hence why gas is compressible and liquid is not. There is no force of attraction between gas particles or between the particles on the walls of the container. Collisions between gas particles or collisions with the walls of the container are perfectly elastic. None of the energy of the gas particle is lost when it collides with another particle or with the walls of the container. The average kinetic energy of a collision of gas particles depend on the temperature of the gas and nothing else.
Can you pause it there?
Back there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of that is wrong. That's ideal gas theory, and we don't have ideal gases. Gases do gravitationally attract each other, and their collisions are not perfectly elastic. If they were perfectly elastic, then the container would never get warm when you heat up a gas.
Okay, you do know that you just told me PVRNRT was what's used for atmosphere. That's literally what I just stated, the ideal gas law.
We don't live in an ideal system.
But that's what your atmosphere is based upon. You calculate your atmospheric gas using the ideal gas law. Did you know that?
People understand.
Okay, so I'm using the ideal gas law. Wait. I'm using the ideal gas law, which you think dictates your atmosphere, and you're telling me that's not.
We understand.
Actual.
Yes, that's true. We understand that it's not perfect. It's an ideal law. Reality is different. Reality isn't ideal, right?
We live in a dynamic system. I agree.
That's a non sequitur, right? So, gas particles.
Do we live in a dynamic system? Do we live in an ideal system or a dynamic system?
We live in a real system.
No,
I don't know
live in a
what
dynamic
you mean by
system
that.
or an ideal system?
What does dynamic mean?
It's ever changing. It has many variables.
But it obeys certain laws, right?
Do we live in an ideal system or dynamic system?
We live in a system that obeys certain laws, but there's a great deal of variation. And the laws...
There's only two options.
No, they're not.
Either it's an ideal system with a constant temperature or pressure, or it's a dynamic system where it's keep on changing the variables? Which one is
It
it?
is a system where that obeys certain gas laws. We're just restricting ourselves to gases right now. That obeys certain gas laws, but it doesn't obey them perfectly because there are other laws involved, right?
Like I'm saying, it's very
gravity,
simple. So you agree we live in a dynamic
gravity.
system? Do you agree we live in a dynamic
It
system?
changes, but it doesn't change randomly. It changes according to the relevant laws, and there are other laws that the ideal gas system law doesn't take into account, like the gravitational attraction between individual particles of gas, and the fact that their collisions with themselves in the container are not perfectly elastic.
That's where you're wrong. Kinetic molecule theory says they
Yeah,
are
that's
perfectly
the ideal
elastic.
gas law. We don't live in an ideal world.
Kinetic molecule theory is not ideal
Yeah,
gas
that's
law.
what that's talking about, right? The collisions are not perfectly elastic. No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
It's observable. Yes.
Can you prove that? Can you show
Yes.
me gas
Yes,
stop
because
moving?
the walls of the container get hot or cold.
So walls of the container. So they are container
Yeah,
walls now.
what we're talking about right now is gas in a container. Yeah.
And I want to ask you something. If you have a gas molecule in a closed container that's
Yes.
just bouncing around, does the wall of the container
Yes.
get hot?
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Energy is
doesn't.
transferred from the gas molecules.
There's no
Yes,
transference
there
of
is.
energy from a gas molecule to a container
Put
wall.
hot
It's got
hot
perfect
gas
elasticity.
in a cold container, and the container will get hot.
Oh, so you have to put hot gas in a
Yeah,
cold
if there's
container.
a
Yes,
if there's a temperature,
that's
yeah,
called
there's a
thermodynamic.
temperature.
But you saying the gas itself transfers energy.
Yes, energy is
Correct?
the kinetic energy contained in the gas molecule.
So tell me, does that gas cool off?
Sure.
Cool. Is that in an ideal
No.
system? Oh, so if you have a closed container with
Yeah.
a set volume and you have a set pressure,
Yeah.
temperature, you're saying that's not ideal.
Right,
Ideal
because
system.
it will eventually come to room temperature. Right? You put hot air
agree.
into a room temperature container. It could be
Entropy.
metal or gas or glass or whatever, or ceramic. The gas will eventually cool off and reach room temperature. It will reach equilibrium with the surrounding environment.
What happens if you stick a hot cup of
Well,
coffee
that's what.
right next to a cold cup of coffee that they're touching each other?
There will
What
be
happens to
energy
those 2 cups?
transfer.
They'll all get to equal temperature.
Yeah, even
correct?
if they're just sat next to each other, it will go through the walls of the containers of the cup.
I agree. It's called entropy. Yes.
That's not entropy. That's just heat transfer.
Thermodynamic is the
Yeah,
entropic
yeah.
law. The second law is the entropic
So
law. That's
the energy
entropy.
will
It's going to
flow. So
flat
yeah,
state.
that's correct. That's thermodynamics.
The zeroth
Yeah,
law.
so the energy
That's the
will
zeroth law,
transfer
yes.
from hot to cold, right?
And
In the
cold to
case
hot,
of the
yes.
Earth, though, what happens is there is a gravitational field, and it takes energy for the particles to leave the influence of the Earth. The farther away they get from the center of the Earth, the more the energy it takes energy to move far away. And that's what contains the atmosphere on the Earth, is the fact that it takes
Okay,
energy.
wait, I have to stop you there.
It takes energy to increase d, the distance.
I have to
Huh?
stop you there. I have to
Okay,
stop
go
you
ahead.
there. Gravity is not a force, so it can't attract gas molecules. You do know, according to physics, gravity has no direct influence
I didn't say it
on
was
gas.
a force. I said it takes, in a gravitational field, it takes energy to increase the distance between the mass of the Earth and the mass of the gas particle.
So that would require it to be a
No.
force, correct? What does Newton's second law say?
That object at rest will remain at rest.
Unless acted upon
Right.
by an outside force. So when a gas
Right,
is
but
moving,
there are no
and it has-
forces, Keith. There are no forces.
so great. So the gas won't be pulled back down to
It will
basic
be.
gravity. I
It will
100%
be.
agree. How?
Right,
It's not a
because
force.
that's classical. That's
You are going. You are
that's
literally
no, that's
contradicting
classical.
then
That's classical
the
mechanics.
Newton's second
And
motion.
I was talking about general relativity, not classical mechanics.
Gas only abides by classical mechanics,
No,
does it not?
it doesn't.
So gas is
No,
in the fourth
there's no-
dimension, a mathematical
There's no
construct.
fourth dimension. Yeah,
I agree. There's no fourth dimension. It's a
that's
mathematical
not
construct.
what Einstein said. That's no, it is
That's
no.
exactly
you're,
what Einstein said.
You're misunderstanding. It's it.
The bending and warping of
Yeah,
space
there's
time
no
in the fourth
bending and
mathematical
warping of
construct.
space time.
So there's no actual
It's
force. It only appears for things to take a
it's a
curve,
s-
a straight
it's-
path by taking a curve.
These are the rules of space time. Take four coefficients. That's why it's called four-dimensional. They take four coefficients to describe the rules of space-time, which is a manifold. So these
Yes,
you don't know what a manifold
It's a
is.
conceptual mathematical
Right? So
construct.
it's not.
Yes, it's a mathematical. It's a conceptual mathematical construct. Think of it. If I want to simplify it for you, think of taking a spider web, and each point represents a manifold
No,
that you can bend.
that's not what a
that you can
manifold is.
manipulate to a certain place
That's
or
not what a
time in
manifold
space.
is.
Yes, I'm just making it
manifold
as
is a
simple as possible
differentiable
that I can
surface.
for a manifold. That's
No,
exactly
you
what I
said
just
points.
said in
You
very
said
simple
points on a
terms,
spider
Brenda.
web.
I said, think of it as a spider web, and each point is able to be moving to different heights in space, making it very simple for people to
Yeah, but
understand what we're talking about.
the
Brenda.
rules,
Okay, but you are literally
The
obfuscating from my
rules-
presentation.
well,
Let's
the
get back to the
rules
presentation
are
first,
the
and then we
rules,
can go
the
on.
formulas that describe it require actually 10 coefficients, but four dimensions. That doesn't mean they're physical. They aren't physical dimensions. Right.
No, they're not physical. I
Right.
100% agree. They're not physical.
Yes,
it's a
it's a
mathematical construct,
description. Right. We don't mistake.
which I agree is just
We
a
don't
thought.
mistake the math for the
which is just-
territory.
Yes, so math can't cause gas
Nobody
to
thinks it
physically come
does.
back to
Nobody
Earth.
thinks the
I
math
agree.
does. No,
That's
it
what you just
doesn't. It
claimed.
describes how it behaves.
You just literally told me general relativity is the cause for gas to be pulled
No,
back
I
down
didn't
to
say
Earth
that. I said it takes energy.
because it requires more
I said
energy.
under general relativity in a gravitational field, it takes energy to increase the distance between the mass of the Earth and the mass of the gas particle. That's what holds.
It's a fourth dimensional concept.
Yes.
Yes. So it's
No,
not real.
they
I understand.
describe something that is real. You're confusing the description with the thing described.
Okay, let me put it this way. Is gas behavior actually real, demonstratable, natural law?
We describe the behavior of gases with using mathematical laws. Math is the language.
Again,
Math is the language of science.
All gases physically being able to be demonstrated to move in a particular manner. In other words, are they physical?
Of course they are.
Great. Is the time warp of space-time in the fourth dimensional physical or just a mathematical description?
It's a physical reality which is described by the relevant equations of general relativity.
Gas
Yes.
is real. Your construction of description in the fourth manifold
No, it is
not
real.
It's a thought experiment. You know, Einstein was a
Yeah,
a thought experiment. When he brought up general relativity, he actually explained it as a
Space-time
thought experiment.
is real, and it's described by math.
No, it's not.
You're confusing. You're saying the math isn't real.
Yes, because it is a math.
Just to be clear. Just to be clear.
No. I'm saying math
Yes,
is a language.
yes.
Math is a description.
And you're
It's a
confusing the
descriptive
two.
language.
Right. I'm
No,
not
I'm
saying
not.
that the math.
Even Einstein said it's
I'm
a
not
thought
saying
experiment.
that the math is what makes things move, or that space-time is the math. I'm saying that the math describes the movement. It describes space-time, but space-time is real, and the math is the description of the real.
Great. And according to kinetic molecule theory, there is no influence of general relativity
Yeah,
on
that's
gas
false.
whatsoever. No,
No,
it's physics.
show it to me.
Okay, so let's get to the next one. Amonton's law. The last postulate of the kinetic molecule theory states that the average kinetic energy of a gas particle depends only on the temperature of the gas. Thus, the average kinetic energy of the gas particles increases as the gas becomes warmer because the mass of the particles is constant. The kinetic energy can only increase if the average velocity of the particles increases. The faster these particles are moving when they hit the wall, the greater the force they exert on the wall. Since the force per collision becomes larger as the temperature increases, the pressure of the gas must increase as well.
Yeah, that was
Dalton's law.
by the way, that was false.
That
Yes,
Amonton's
it
law is false. What's false about it?
Gas particles accelerate towards the ground. Yeah, they do.
No, it doesn't.
That's why in a
No, it
container holding gas, the gas will be denser towards the ground and less dense at the top. They don't equally fill the container.
There's Amonton's law for you.
Yes, it's a law which we understand to have a contextual interpretation, right? And they are not talking about gravity in order to make the equation simpler.
Because gravity doesn't do
Yes, it
anything
does.
to it.
I told
That's
you.
why. Gravity, even in classical mechanics, gravity has no direct effect on the direction
That's
of gas.
not true. It accelerates the gas particles
That is true.
when they are approaching the center of the Earth, and they decelerate when they are moving away because it takes energy for them to increase that difference.
So you're saying gravity is a force again? Because you're saying it's accelerating. What's making it accelerate?
There are no forces. Again, there are no forces.
Agreed.
None.
There are no forces. Therefore,
Right.
it's not gravity.
Yes, gravity is not a force. It's an interaction. Right? Just like magnetism is not a force. Magnetism is an interaction. There is no such thing as forces. There are no forces anywhere. We can talk about forces if we understand a certain context, but there are no forces. There are only particle-particle interactions. That's particle physics. Right? Because in magnetism, what carries what we call the magnetic force is a virtual photon. Virtual photons carry the electromagnetic force. They're force carriers.
Can we prove photons, or that's just all theory, isn't it? I think so.
Scientific theory, yeah, it's a scientific theory. So it's based on experiments and observations. So yeah, it's scientific theory. It's not
photons.
Look around you. All you see is photons. That's what you see. Right?
No, I see God's creation. That's what I see.
No, but you see photons. That's what hits your eye. That's how you can see. If you can't see photons, you're blind.
Photoelectric effect. Talking about the photoelectric effect.
I'm not talking about the photoelectric effect.
I can see perfectly.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, guys. Just on holiday with my fam, and I thought I'd tune in and just listen and see what's occurring. And
hello, Steve.
I've just got involved in a little debate with Conspiracy Music, and he said, "Why don't you go on?" So,
yeah, why don't you? I pleased to meet you, Steve. I've never spoken to you before.
And who am I speaking to here?
Brenda.
Okay, Brenda.
The great and powerful Brenda.
McToon.
So, Brenda,
by the way, Keith, I am not McToon. I know.
It's just a joke, Brenda.
We live in the same area. He lives in the suburbs. I live in the city. I've met him for coffee once. That's it. People need to get people. I know, but
a joke, Brenda.
So many flat earthers. I seem to live in their heads a lot. That's really weird. It's really kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy.
You definitely don't live in my head.
Okay. Anyway, Steve, do you have any?
It would be creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
My mind
Anyway.
is renewed and Jesus lives
Yeah.
in my heart, brother.
Absolutely.
And one day I hope
Amen.
that he lives in your heart.
I don't want
I
I don't
agree.
want things
Okay.
living in my heart. My heart needs to pump blood.
I meant it in the spiritual sense, sir.
Spiritual sense, not a physical heart.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you, Steve.
yeah. Likewise, Brenda. So, yeah, so I was involved in the chat, and sometimes, you know, as a Christian, we can be accused that we're believing in invisible things, and you know, it's by faith, and we can be so spiritually minded, we can be no earthly good, and that's always a maxim that I try and abide by in my research. And so, I wanted to ask you, Brenda, have you heard of a physicist called a particle physicist called Max Planck?
Yes.
So I was absolutely bowled over when I read a quote attributed to him where he said, "Science progresses funeral by funeral." And I just wanted to ask you, Brenda, what you think that means.
What it means is that just a second here. Apply. Done. That should be my avatar. Oh well. I changed my avatar, but it didn't change. Anyway, what it means is that there's a tendency towards a sort of orthodoxy within the scientific community, where the leading scientists have a tendency to suppress innovation and new science. Kuhn talked about this quite a bit in his book, which I read when I was in high school.
Well, my understanding of that, Brenda, is where Max Planck, who was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist and, you know, renowned scientist, when he says science progresses funeral by funeral, what he was saying in that is that the science that we can, you know, that is alive and well today, tomorrow can be dead and surpassed by
Possible, yeah.
Well, but that's what he
I
meant
agree
by
with
it.
you.
And
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
that's basically what I
Yeah.
said, which is that scientific innovations are they tend to be suppressed by a sort of the authority of
Yes.
the current living experts. Their orthodoxy. Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine. And Kuhn talked about that in The Structure of Scientific Revolution.
And so, how much do you think that the suppression of science or of observations that contradict the status quo, how alive do you think that is in the globe Earth, flat Earth debate?
It's not alive at all. Right? Because
that right?
because the fact that there are these personalities, and this is about personalities, right? That fact doesn't change brute facts, like the fact that the Earth is a globe. This is just an observable fact at this point. We can obtain sufficient altitude that we can just see the Earth and verify that it is in fact a globe.
Well, I mean, the NASA spokesman Neil deGrasse Tyson overturned that observation in 2014 when in 2012 Felix Baumgartner he
Yeah.
jumped allegedly from 128,000 feet, and all
Yeah.
the exterior cameras showed a 180 degree, wide angled
Yeah, they were
curvature
wide
lens,
angle. They were
except
wide angle
except
lenses, right?
except for the internal one that showed a perfectly level horizon. And so, of course, that caused an absolute furore. And in 2014, 2 years later, Neil deGrasse Tyson was wheeled out by NASA to put that to bed. And he said that 128,000 feet, the Earth is observably flat. So I don't know I don't know what attitude you're saying
Well,
that you can go to, because thousands of testimonies in
yeah.
an instant were burnt immediately to a crisp
Why?
by Neil deGrasse Tyson because all
Why?
the people who've been on aeroplanes and said, I've seen the curvature of the earth, been up mountains and said they've seen the curvature of the earth, they were all instantly just fried because of Neil deGrasse Tyson's admission. You know,
Yeah, you're making an argument from authority.
no, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, you're citing an authority, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
But
you're
isn't
saying
that
it's
what?
true? Yeah, that's
But
not
isn't
how science. No, that's not how science works.
okay?
Authority is he though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Neil deGrasse Tyson said that the Earth is a globe, and you quoted him as being somebody who you would align with, then you know, which millions of people do.
That would be if I did that, that would be an argument from authority, right? Because what Neil deGrasse Tyson says doesn't make it true. What he says is not a truth maker. What
That's
makes
true.
things true are the facts, not
Well,
what people say.
That's true.
Yeah.
So at what height do you think that the Earth can be seen to be curved?
I know there's a paper published which says at about 55,000 feet, the curvature of the Earth is detectable. It is not detectable from the tiny portal on a plane, but it is detectable at 55,000 feet. There was a scientific paper published about that. So Neil deGrasse,
all right,
55,000 feet.
Oh, hello.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've gone higher than that. Felix Baumgartner. Oh, he left. Felix Baumgartner.
He probably just only went 220,000
Felix
feet.
Baumgartner did not go to space. Other people have been to space.
I know.
People have been on the way to the moon. They turned around and snapped a picture. That's the 1972 Blue Marble. It's a photograph on film. No,
In a studio.
that's your
Yes.
claim. You need to provide support for that.
But my point is, my point is, Brenda, is that what this illustrates is that you can pick and choose when you want to align yourself with science and scientists, and when you want to divorce yourself from them by
not true.
Suddenly
Not
saying,
true.
so hang on, my friend. Suddenly saying that it's an argument from authority, where you know, conventional science is built on arguments of authority. We've only got to look.
Steve,
the
let me
prevailing
interrupt.
sciences. We've only got to look at the
Steve, let me
prevailing
interrupt you.
sciences.
Steve, science is not based on authority. It's based on experiments, not authorities. What Neil deGrasse Tyson says does not make science true.
Well, then perhaps you can argue then, or say, why didn't Dave McKeegan come with me as somebody who advocates in science? I invited him to come.
You have to ask him. I'm not Dave.
I did.
McKeegan, so
I asked him to come and carry out some experiments with me. Well, then
I don't know.
That's why people pick and choose. You say
it's
they
not
pick
my
and
problem. That's not my issue. My issue is that Neil deGrasse Tyson is not the one who decides what science is. The experiments do.
If somebody who's a flat earther could invite you, Brenda, down to the coast to carry out some experiments to prove your science, as you know, as you just said, would you take them up on it?
Dude, I go to the food shelf to get food.
No,
I don't have the money. I don't have the money.
No. If somebody invited you to go to a lake or to down to the sea with a telescope, with conventional curve of mathematics, and a calculator and a pen, would you accompany them? Because I'm sure, listen to this, we could find somebody who lives near you who would gladly meet with you, pick you up and take you to the nearest flat plane.
We see too far.
Number one,
you're right.
I think conducting the original, the second Bedford level experiment, the one done by the globe earther, could be done somewhere in the United States. You need to find an expanse, probably a canal,
but would you be willing? Would you be willing?
If
you'd be willing for somebody. You'd be willing for
paid for me, but I don't have the money to buy plane tickets. I don't have that money.
But I mean, whereabouts in the US do you live?
Minneapolis, Minnesota, dude.
Okay, so Minnesota. So that's got some great lakes near it.
We have 10,000 lakes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So therefore, if we put out a call for somebody in Minnesota who's a flat earther to make contact with you,
Sure.
and you could go out with them with a telescope
Yeah.
calculator, and then we could then Flats could maybe do
I would
a
need to agree.
reconvening.
I'd need to agree on the. I'd need to agree on the variables of the experiment. Yes.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
Flats, what do you think of that idea?
We can actually. I would love it. We can actually set the hypothesis up now if you want to.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, if it's flat,
Let's do that.
If it's flat,
Then
then
we
there
can
will
get-
be no deviation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And also you can, between you and whatever flat earth it is, you can agree on the curvature calculator that you want to take with you, because there's lots of them up online.
I wouldn't think of using a curve calculator. I would simply measure point to point.
Yeah,
and if we
absolutely.
detect a deviation from straight,
Yes, of
then
course.
the Earth is not flat, right?
Yeah.
We'd have
Okay,
two
so
flags.
what's
We'd
the
have two
hypothesis
flags,
right now?
both the same level above something that we agree is flat or should be flat, right? And if those 2 points, right, deviate from perpendicular,
Yes.
right, which is 90 degrees,
Yes.
then the Earth is not flat.
Fantastic. And that's all evidenceable, if
Yeah.
that's the right word.
Yeah.
And also what's fantastic is, just to let you know, Brenda, this was the beginning of my journey, because I was told, it starts and ends with the maths. And so I had a hunch when I first read about flat Earth that it was correct, but I needed to know practically that it checked out. And so I got out of my armchair and I went down to the coast and I carried out the experiments, and that's when I realised that no curvature was detectable. So it's a personal journey. So if you,
I just have
you know,
to point-
Do you
I
think
just
that you
have
could have made a mistake?
sorry, I
Steve?
have to point out that I have to point out though that this hypothesis is false though.
Hypotheses.
Mm-hmm.
so
Perspective isn't.
Wait, I
perspective.
just-
It's got an
I
eye.
just
It's an eye, not any hypothesis.
Yeah, I already know the
I don't
answer.
do Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, based on perspective, it does appear to go down anyway. Just like you see. Let me quickly do this. Let me do it this way, actually.
Yes, but Keith, can I counter your argument you're going to make?
Go ahead.
Yeah, things don't actually go down, do they?
No, they
A
don't.
6 foot
That's not
a 6 foot pole, a 6 foot pole
It's always
next
6
to
foot.
me will always be 6 foot, right? So we
100%
measure that.
But this counteracts your claim
No,
of
it doesn't,
your so-called hypothesis.
because perspective isn't curvature.
Oh, no, I want to ask you something. Your hypothesis states that if the two flags don't keep 90 degrees, therefore it's not a flat Earth.
No, that's not it.
What was your hypothesis? That's what I wrote there. When
That-
observing over the lake, if two flags deviate from 90 degrees, the Earth is not flat.
No, that's not the hypothesis. So
Okay,
we
what is-
have A and B, right? And from A we construct a perpendicular, and then if we sight along that perpendicular, if B is below the perpendicular line, then the Earth is
perpendicular.
not flat. Then the
There
Earth
we go.
will not be flat.
But that's what I'm saying. Here's A. This is the perpendicular. There, it's
That's not the
below
perpendicular.
perpendicular.
No,
B's
that's
below
not the-
perpendicular, just based on perspective alone.
That
So therefore, your
line-
hypothesis is already false.
No, you misidentified perpendicular.
No, there's definitely different. Let me do it this way. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to put it on.
Well, just while you sort this out, guys, if I can just say to Brenda, because I'd love to stay for longer, but I would love for it to be able to be set up flat. So I don't know how, that maybe somebody in Minnesota can meet up with Brenda.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure that Mike Toon can help us here, and he would be willing to.
Well,
to
no,
assist.
no. What we'd
Why
like
no?
to do.
Why no?
Because well, yes, okay, but that'd be fantastic if he could get involved, but it would need to also be involved somebody who is well versed in.
There are flat earthers around here.
Yeah, great.
I've met with Pitch Lumen, Effed Up World, I haven't met him, but I know that he is nearby. I don't know of too many others who live near us, but those are the two flat earthers that I know about, Pitch Lumen and Effed Up World.
I haven't seen
I've
Pitch.
met one, but not the other.
Because I think that would be great. Because Brenda, I think just what I'd love to say is
It's
this: is
fine.
that we all came from where you're at.
Yeah.
All of us shared the same curriculum. All of us shared the same teachers. All of us shared the same what we now see as
I don't
indoctrination.
know that you did have the same curriculum. The way flat earthers talk about their education doesn't
No, my
com-
friend. No,
it
my friend.
doesn't
We
it
all,
doesn't
my
no
friend.
listen just listen, let me
We
finish.
all sat
It,
through the same teachers. We all
no,
sat through the same classrooms. We did, my
the
friend.
education. That's not the education I had. We did laboratory experiments.
I'm talking about school. Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about school.
Yeah,
We
and
did
so,
we did laboratory
but
experiments
we did that too.
in
You know,
school.
we had chemistry, physics, and maths. We had lab
Yeah,
experiments back in the day when you were
yeah,
allowed to have
yeah.
gas
So I
experiments in class, etc.
Yes. If I describe some of the
Bunsen burner.
experiments, they were absolutely crazy according to modern.
Yeah, of
We had a
course.
bunch of. I was in the 7th grade science class, and all the students were playing with live steam. It's
Yeah,
insane according to today.
of course. Of
That's
course.
crazy, but we did
I
it,
agree with that.
right? And
Yes.
we didn't passively accept what we were told.
No.
We did experiments that confirmed what the lesson was.
But you see, the thing is, Brenda, you have to also take into account that from age 2, when we can just begin to put ourselves together, at age 2 and 3, we are being brainwashed by idents at a ball earth. We are being brainwashed
No,
by
no.
absolutely we are. And like we have to
Well, that's your
understand,
claim. I
no,
reject it.
we
I'm
absolutely
rejecting your claim that we are brainwashed.
no,
We're
we
not.
enter into a world where we are not old enough or have the faculties to be able to defend or refute what is poured into us from an
Yeah,
outside source.
I reject
Well,
that
that's
association.
well
It's
then
not. It's
if
not
you
what
would
happens.
okay, my friend. Well, then that's where I
Yes.
would say that
Right.
most people here would part company with
Most people.
your
Yes, I know.
yeah.
Most flat earthers believe that there's a system of indoctrination, and that's just not true. Education is not indoctrination.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
yes,
what
it
you
is, brother. I'm a
no,
teacher, man. I'm a teacher.
Certainly
I
is.
know that you don't believe me,
Okay.
but that's
I know.
what I
Trust
believe.
me, I don't believe you.
Education is about teaching people facts about reality. Indoctrination is what people get in religion, right? Science is not religion. The educational system is not religion.
Okay, then can I
But
counter
curriculum.
what's what stories are presented to little children on the TV today?
That's not our educational system.
Guys,
That's indoctrination.
have a great continual debate. I'd love to stay, but I have to go make another a phone call now. But please, I'd love to be kept up to what Flat Earther in Minnesota could meet up with Brenda, and if I can contribute in any way, Flats, just contact me. All right, my friend.
Just
I'll
mate.
let
Let's hear
people
it.
Yeah,
know.
Steve.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
man.
see what
Bye, Steve.
happens.
Have a great evening, guys. It's been great. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Just
It's only 3 PM, dude.
No, he's in.
Not where I am.
Not where he
I've
is.
got grandchildren in the
Where do you
background.
hail? Where do you hail from,
in the
Steve?
UK.
I'm from the
The
UK.
UK?
Yes,
So you're
I'm from the
6
UK.
hours, 6 hours ahead of me.
Yes, and I've got a call to make, and I've got little
So it's about 9 PM there.
little children in the background. Okay, bless you guys. Thank you very much.
Blessings.
And Keith is on the other side of the world from me.
Okay, so you say A and B should. This is what would happen. Then it's not flat. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that if you construct a line perpendicular to vertical at point A, and if that perpendicular line does not intersect with point B, then the Earth is not flat.
Okay. So they got it now. So you're saying if it's like this, it's not perpendicular there. It's perpendicular to each other. So there's flat.
that's because that's not a three. That's a two-dimensional image, and you're constructing.
When you look
the
through
horizontal
a
is
camera,
wrong.
when you look through a camera or through a telescope, you do know it's two-dimensional.
Yeah, but no, that is incorrectly. You're incorrectly identifying the axis, the horizontal axis.
You told me to make a parallel.
Yeah.
So that's literally what it is, a horizontal and a vertical.
Yeah.
So how do I make a wrong horizontal when it's literally perpendicular to vertical?
Yeah, it's going to be hard on a photograph. You're going to need to use photogrammetry in order to define the world space of that photograph.
So photogrammetry doesn't change the fact that we see two-dimensionally.
I see 3 dimensions.
No, your spatial space is
do.
two-dimensional. We live in a three-dimensional world, but spatially you only see two-dimensional, Brenda. Hence, photographs are two-dimensional.
No, my visual system understands that I live in a 3-dimensional world.
You only see two-dimensional, though. Yes, we live in a three-dimensional world, but we only daterize 2 dimensions. Hence, perspective. Like
perspective is.
Hence, it's perspective like it is on the photo right now.
I'm not talking about perspective. That's not what this is. A test. It's not a test of perspective.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you, Mr. Jingles, for £2. It says indoctrination is free education you have to earn. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
Indoctrination is what you do, which is you accept uncritically information that is given to you. You accept it uncritically.
Yeah, projection.
Yeah, that's indoctrination.
That's not indoctrination. That's accepting indoctrination.
Yes, that's what you do. That's what you do. You indoctrinate.
The science curriculum says that gravity is a fact. It's teaching.
It is.
That's what they're teaching. That.
It is a fact.
It's not.
It is not.
Absolutely, it is.
Randy, you're literally talking to a teacher right now. You do know that.
Yes.
You shouldn't be teaching.
Oh my goodness!
Bigotry.
Wow.
That's the biggest.
They want me
you shouldn't be
because
teaching people if you're going to teach them lies.
Wow.
If you're teaching people, if you're
And
teaching children lies, you're abusing them.
Brenda, I teach people how to think.
I don't know how to
take my word for it. I said to think for themselves.
Show me how. Describe to me how you teach people. Describe to me how you teach people to think.
I'm telling you that the science curriculum is manipulating middle schoolers. It's a fact.
That's a lie.
Indoctrination.
That is not a lie.
It is a lie. That is a lie. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it's not a lie.
Let me repeat. I've read the science books. I'm right next to a science
Your
teacher.
Inability to understand them doesn't make it false.
I understand the curriculum perfectly
well.
No,
you don't. You think gravity doesn't exist. You're objectively wrong.
I think gravity does exist as a form of a rate of falling. It's a lowercase g in a formula. But
that's called gravity.
Force, though. It's a
so
theory.
You believe in gravity then? That's what gravity is.
It's a theory.
No, it's a scientific theory. Yes.
The force is a theory, and they're not teaching that, Brenda. That's a difference. That's
yes, they do. It's a theory. It's a scientific theory.
Okay.
Do you not know the difference?
What's the scientific theory, Brenda?
Scientific theory is based on observations and experimental data. It is not colloquially just. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's based on scientific observations and experimental data. That's what a theory is. It's an explanation. A theory is an explanation based on observational and experimental data.
Exactly.
It is not just something that you pull out of your hindquarters, right? That's what the colloquial
And I'm telling you, the textbooks don't say that like you're saying it.
It's because gravity is based on experimental evidence and data, verifiable. You can do it. Children do it. I did it. I proved gravity in high school.
Of course you did.
Yes, you shouldn't be teaching children.
Nobody else can prove it, but you can.
I don't listen
can.
to what man
Yeah.
says.
I
God
did
put
it.
me in jobs, not
Okay,
man.
I believe
So
you,
thank
Brendan.
you.
I did it
wouldn't.
in
And they
school.
wouldn't.
In physics class, we derived, right, the little g, the acceleration of gravity.
You calculate exactly making his
Calculate.
point. You're
You're making-
making
We derived
literally
it from
control point.
We derived it from experimental data. We did experiments that demonstrated the acceleration of gravity. We did it.
What experiments?
Galileo's experiments on an inclined plane.
That's a demonstration, not an experiment.
It's an experiment.
demonstration.
I don't
What's-
No,
agree.
it's not.
Wow.
You don't
What
get
is
to
the
just.
hypothesis? What's the hypothesis for Galileo's experiment?
It was to measure the acceleration of falling bodies.
That's not a hypothesis.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What's a hypothesis, Brenda?
That bodies accelerate towards the
No, I'm
ground
asking
at a
what is the
specific.
scientific hypothesis?
That was it. That bodies accelerate because he was going against Aristotelian science, which said that objects fall differently according to their weight, to their density, and they don't. And he proved that they don't. He proved that they fall at 9.8 meters per second per second.
Did he do this in
that.
different mediums?
Hmm?
Did he do this in different mediums?
You remove the medium
How? How did Galileo
that's a-
remove the medium?
because that's a confounding variable, right? The medium would be a
medium
confounding
would-
variable.
The medium would be the control.
No, the medium is not the control. It does not factor in at all.
So then it's not a valid experiment.
It is a valid experiment.
Would
It's
the medium change the results, Brenda?
Yes. That's
So
why you
therefore it's not a valid experiment, Brenda.
no, that's why you remove it. You remove confounding variables.
The point is he's trying to disprove the density ratio. Okay?
No,
So
he
by
was trying-
disproving the density ratio, he literally has to take the ratio and do an experiment based on the
No.
density ratio.
He
He didn't do
was-
that, therefore it's an unvalid experiment because
no,
it's
it's
not
not.
doing what he claimed
He
it to
was
do.
disproving classical Aristotelian physics. That's what he was disproving.
So not
which-
science.
Well, Aristotle's was the best science they had at the time. And then Galileo came and caused a revolution in science by demonstrating that objects don't fall
Demonstrating.
uniformly at a speed or according to their weight. He showed that they fall at the same speed regardless of their weight, and that speed is 9.8 meters per second squared.
In a vacuum.
He didn't have to use a vacuum.
Well, 9.8 meters per second squared is actually only in a vacuum. You do know that, Brenda.
Agreed upon.
He didn't have to use a vacuum.
Is it only in a vacuum, Brenda?
You can remove the air resistance as a confounding variable. You can remove that.
Listen what I'm saying. Is 9.8 meters per second only in a vacuum, Brenda?
It actually varies from place to place. It isn't 9.8 meters per second everywhere on Earth. It varies.
Well, every time we ask you a question, a specifically yes or no question, or is it this?
Because
Steve asked you questions you couldn't
Yeah,
just answer.
because
I've asked you many
I
questions
did.
like this.
Yeah.
It's a yes or no you couldn't answer.
because you
me.
ask
Now
loaded
I'm asking
questions.
you again a yes or no question. Which one is it?
Yeah,
You
it's a
can't share
loaded.
the
It's a
whole
loaded
story.
question. It's a
It's not
loaded
a loaded
question.
question. It's
Yes,
simply
it is.
did they
It
take it into
presupposes
account or not?
it presupposes that you can't simply remove the drag of atmosphere on the objects, right?
Okay, let's say if they took those two balls and it wasn't balls, one was a cube, would it give a different outcome?
Yeah, I don't know the particulars of Galileo's experiment, right? So I don't know that. But what he was talking about he rolled marbles down an inclined plane. He timed it and demonstrated that there was an acceleration, which refuted Aristotle, because Aristotle
I agree
said
there's an
that
acceleration, but that's the thing. It's not an experiment.
that's what gravity is. Gravity is, it's an identity relation. Gravity is the acceleration. That's what gravity is.
So gravity causes gravity again.
No, it doesn't cause gravity. Gravity just is. It's the
So
phenomenon.
let me put it this way: the acceleration is gravity.
Yes, that's the name that we give.
So gravity
to-
causes gravity. Then
No.
what causes
It's
the acceleration, Brenda?
We don't know.
You just said gravity causes the acceleration, and I asked
No,
what's
I
the
didn't.
acceleration. You said gravity. So
No,
gravity
stop
causes
lying
gravity.
about what I said. I didn't say gravity causes gravity. I did not
You,
say that.
you did say
You
that.
just said
No,
You
I
told
didn't.
me first of all
You
with the
said that
gases
earlier,
earlier.
too, that it
I
causes
said it's
Gravity
an
causes
identity.
acceleration.
I said it's an identity relation. The acceleration that we observe of falling bodies is gravity. Is the identity relation.
No, what we
Yes,
see.
that's what it
acceleration
is.
Acceleration is acceleration, Brenda. It's not
Yes,
gravity.
it's the acceleration due to gravity.
So gravity did cause gravity then.
No. Gravity causes an acceleration.
And acceleration is gravity.
We can understand these are different contexts, that there is there's some kind of state of affairs that causes objects to fall at a certain rate, right? We don't know
Density and the air
what that
resistance.
is. It's sometimes called the curvature of space-time, but even that's wrong, right? It's not the curvature of
That's why I said
space-time.
it.
But the reason that things fall, right, is because of the curvature of space-time.
Which is gravity, correct?
No, it's the curvature of space-time.
Which is gravity.
What you
No.
just said was completely
Gravity is the acceleration.
ridiculous. The curvature of space-time.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Gravity curves.
That's pseudoscience, brother.
No,
That's
it's not.
pseudoscience.
It's been
Yes, it is.
it's actual science. That's why you shouldn't be teaching people.
I don't let man tell me where I go or not. God puts me in my position. Thank you very much.
Are you actually
brother.
a teacher? Are you actually a teacher? You just
Yes,
pretending.
I'm a history teacher. Thank you.
Oh, history. Yeah, well, stay away from the sciences.
I can
Brenda,
teach science too, bro. I'll teach them the right way.
Brenda, do you believe general relativity is true?
Yes, I do.
Therefore, pseudoscience. It's got nothing to do with belief.
Why?
Well done.
You don't
Thank
know
you.
what belief is. Belief.
Pseudoscience isn't a belief.
Knowledge.
Science is a method. It's an empirical method that has no value or no change in one's belief. If you have a belief in the science, it's
Is knowledge.
Yeah,
Is knowledge a belief?
General relativity, you just said, is a belief system.
Yes.
Therefore,
Yes, it is.
Pseudoscience.
No, it's not.
Pseudoscience.
Keith,
Well
is
done.
knowledge a kind of belief?
No, knowledge is data. Observed logical data.
Knowledge is not data.
Knowledge is observed logical data. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Knowledge
I have knowledge that if I pick up my phone and let it go, it will drop. That's not a belief. That's a knowledge.
That's a belief.
I have data based on knowledge that I know it will drop.
Do you think it's true that if you let go, it will drop?
Yes, because
That's
knowledge.
belief. That's a belief.
No, it's not. I don't
Yes, it
believe
is.
it's going to happen. I know it's happened because
that's a belief.
Data. It has knowledge showing that has to happen.
Let me define the words for you. Belief is any mental content that you have that you assert to be true. You assert that it's true, that if you let go, it will drop. Therefore, it's a belief.
No, it's not.
Yes, that's what belief is. Belief is mental content that you hold to be true. Knowledge is a subset of belief. Draw a big circle, and inside of that circle are all the things that you assert to be true. Knowledge is a smaller circle inside the bigger one where it's actually true.
Let me espouse this quickly. Is it knowledgeable that you have to eat to stay alive, Brenda?
Yeah, I have knowledge.
Has that got anything to do with belief? Or is it knowledge that you have to eat to stay alive?
Yes, it's a belief.
Eating's a belief?
It's a belief that is justified to be true.
What?
I have warrant to assert that it is true that I need to eat food to survive. This has been philosophy for the last
It's knowledge.
This has been philosophy for the last 4,000 years.
Okay, if it's a belief, can you stop eating,
God.
Brenda? If it's a belief, can you stop eating and still survive?
No.
Because it's not a belief. Great.
Belief is
it's a fact.
It's a fact. It's knowledgeable data. That's a fact. It's nothing got to do with a belief.
A belief.
You would die without water.
Right.
It's a fact.
Right. It's a belief.
No, it's not. It's a fact.
It's a belief that's true. You don't understand. It's some beliefs that you hold not true. Do you hold
You
some
really
beliefs that
have
are
a
not true?
weird way of looking at Brenda.
This is
Really
called
have.
philosophy
Let go of
101.
no, you don't know what philosophy is. You don't know what
Yes, I
physics
do.
is. It's
I've
very
taken
apparent.
many courses
So I'm
over
telling
years.
you clearly don't know what's going on.
I know my epistemology very well,
Oh wow.
right?
What
So
is
all
epistemology?
Very well indoctrinated.
it's philosophy of knowledge. So knowledge is a
Wow,
justified
she got
true
something
belief. Knowledge
Okay,
is a
Brenda.
justified true belief, isn't it, Keith?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Knowledge is justified true
No,
belief.
it's not.
Yes,
Fact,
it is.
you need water to survive. Fact, you
Yes.
don't need to believe you need water to survive.
Facts aren't beliefs.
No, I agree, because fact is
Yeah.
knowledge.
No, facts aren't knowledge. Knowledge is a justified true belief.
It's a fact. It's a fact based on knowledge. You require water to survive. No
Yes.
belief. You can
It
believe
is a
that
belief.
you don't need water to survive. Will you
That's
survive
right.
if you don't?
It's
drink
knowledge.
water
I
from
know I
the
need water to survive. Knowledge. I know
Yeah.
it.
Yes, it's a
Sometimes I
justified
think
true
this is
belief.
just
You're
There's
right.
no
on
belief.
purpose, just to get us off the track,
Well,
Yeah.
off the rail.
I
to
don't
what's
know. I don't
true.
care. It doesn't matter to me. If you seem to be no, what I'm not insane. What I'm telling you
I didn't
is
say you were
is
insane.
is philosophy
fan of this.
101. Philosophy 101. You take a course
Could care less
as
about
a freshman, 17-year-old freshman, still wet behind the ears. This is what you'll be told.
it. Okay.
Knowledge is justified true belief. It is a subset of the beliefs that you have. Some of the beliefs you have are wrong and some are false. Some are true. The ones that are true are knowledge. They are justified true beliefs, or today, because of Gettier cases, we would say warranted belief, and outside of epistemic luck.
Knowledge, facts, information, and skills acquired through experience or education. The theoretical or practical understanding
Yes.
of a subject.
Hey,
Nothing
Keith.
about belief.
Yeah. Hey, Keith. Real intellectuals don't
Ooh.
Google.
Oh,
Real intellectuals don't
this is
Google.
what it's all about.
It's
You
just
have a lot of
showing you a
pride. You have a lot of
definition.
pride, Brenda.
Real intellectuals do
You
not
have a lot of
Google.
pride,
It's showing
Brenda.
you a definition, for
Yeah,
goodness sake.
yeah.
That's
Real
all.
intellectuals don't look up words in
Oh
dictionaries.
my goodness. Really?
Yeah. Yes.
No, intellectuals
Yes.
don't look words up in
Yes,
dictionaries.
that's correct.
That
That's
is
correct.
the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my
Well,
life.
I wouldn't
Brenda.
expect you to understand.
Intellectuals do not look in dictionaries. So
That's right.
intellectuals know how to spell
You don't settle
absolutely every
debates.
single thing.
That's right. You don't settle
Every single
debates by
thing.
dictionary
Every
definitions.
single thing an intellectual knows how to spell. They'll never need to look up in the dictionary for it, no?
Yeah, that's not what
Oh
we're
my
talking about. We're not
goodness.
talking about
Okay.
spelling errors.
What a load
Okay,
of
you know-
bollocks, Brenda.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? The
Well,
reason
it seems
let me put it this
like
way.
we're
The
getting
reason,
to a difficult
Brenda,
situation. Maybe
I
we should cut
understand.
this off.
Brenda, I understand why you're so ignorant. Thank you. You just made
Yeah.
it very clear why you're so ignorant and delusional.
I'm fine with you believing that. It doesn't bother me at all.
That's your belief. Well done. Not
Yeah,
knowledge.
Yeah.
We just made our point. What's belief then?
Belief is mental content that we hold to be true. Truth is a property of sentences.
Is belief
Right?
subjective or objective, Brenda?
Truth, belief is subjective. Truth is objective.
Great. And general relativity, is that subjective or objective?
That is objective.
No, it's not. It's
Yes,
subjective.
it
It's
is
a belief.
because it's
It's
been
a
experimentally,
mind-
validated hundreds of times.
False. You can't experiment in the fourth dimension.
There is no fourth physical dimension.
I agree.
It's really
Hence why
it's
not
a
science.
what general relativity really is. It's a set of rules that operate over a manifold. It's not. It's
A
space
manifold,
time.
which is mathematical,
Manifold is a differentiable surface, right?
which is mathematical.
Yes, that's the description.
Do we live in maths?
We don't claim that we live in maths. We claim
So
that
it's
the
a
math
belief then.
describes. We claim that the math accurately describes reality.
In the fourth dimension.
You
There's
can create
no
a formula
fourth.
that
There's no
makes
fourth
Superman
dimension.
fly in math,
The
too.
space-time doesn't bend into a fourth dimension. That's not
It
what it
is the
says.
fourth dimension.
The
It's
people
a fourth
use-
dimensional quasi-Riemannian. It's
People use those rubber sheets.
pseudo-Riemannian fourth
Pseudo-Riemann.
dimensional space.
The man's name was Riemann, not Ramonian. His name was Riemann.
Pseudo-Riemannian fourth
Yes.
dimensional space.
It's not Romanian. It's Riemann.
Well, that's how I pronounce it. I don't give a damn how it's pronounced. I'm
Well,
telling you what
he's
it
a
is.
human being. You
It
should
is
learn.
literally
Oh,
a mathematical
it's all on purpose.
construct.
Yes,
It's
I
not
agree with that.
real.
And it's a
Okay.
Riemann. It's a pseudo-Riemann
Pseudo.
manifold. Yes, meaning
Pseudo.
meaning it's not a true manifold. It doesn't
Yes.
actually bend into the fourth dimension.
Exactly.
Yes, so
Hence-
it's still real.
Hence not objective.
isn't.
Hence it's
No,
subjective.
that doesn't mean
based
it's
on a belief.
no. It's based on repeated scientific
There's
experiments.
no science for general relativity. Sorry,
Yes,
Brenda.
absolutely there is.
No,
How do you
there isn't.
explain? How do you explain Einstein crosses and Einstein's rings and black holes?
There's no such thing as black holes. There's no such thing as
Yes,
Einstein
there
rings.
is. We
No,
we
there
have photographs of them.
Of course
You can't photograph nothing.
Yeah, but we can photograph everything around it.
No, you mean ones and zeros that they
everything around-
computerized. Sorry,
What
can
do
you
you
see
think
an
is
event horizon?
on your screen right now is ones and zeros?
Yes, but this is RGB. This is
Yes,
literally
it's ones and zeros. It
Okay,
doesn't mean you
physical-
don't exist. It doesn't
RGB is
mean
not
you
ones
don't
and-
exist.
RGB is physical light pattern. It's not wavelength.
What?
A black hole has no light. Do you understand that?
Yes, but we can see everything around it because it is surrounded by excited matter that is letting off light.
So it's a
circling- and
belief
circling
then. Brenda, wait. So it's your belief that it is creating a black hole, which is creating an event
Exactly.
horizon, which is creating mass.
We can observe
Around it.
it.
That's
we
a
can
belief
observe
then.
it.
So it's not science.
If a black cat in a black room glows, then we can see it by where the glow is.
The black cat is physical. You can
Yes,
literally
and
go
black
and touch
holes. Black holes are physical.
it. No, they aren't. It's a belief system. It's
Well, you claim
pseudo.
that. Again, it's
It's
knowledge based on
subjective.
experiments
It's not
and
knowledge.
evidence.
It's subjective colloquialism.
It's objective. Objective means it's independent of.
There's nothing
of
objective
personal
about
opinion.
general relativity.
It's
at all.
independent. Yes, it is objective because it's
What's the independent
independent.
variable for general relativity?
Because
Brenda?
it's independent of personal opinion.
What
that's
is
what
the
makes something-
independent? What's the independent variable for general relativity?
I don't know what you mean.
Then it's not science.
Yeah, that's not how science works.
Science requires an independent variable.
No, there's different
Yes.
science.
Yes.
Yeah,
science requires
You've been
independent variable.
misled. You've been misled by John Stuttgart
All
and Nathan
science
Oakley.
requires independent
That's-
variables. The independent
that's
variable
false.
is the cause for the effect observed. If you're
Right,
claiming
science is just
if you're claiming science as an experiment, that means the hypothesis had been approved and it had an
Sure.
experiment
Gonna
with
depend on the
independent
experiment.
and dependent variable. So
gonna-
if there's no independent variable, there's no science.
right. So science is a progressive research program. There's no such thing as the scientific method. You've been misled by Nathan Oakley.
I
You've
don't
been
care about
lied to.
Nathan Oakley
Yes,
or
but that's
Quantum
the
Eraser.
yes, but
I'm
that's
just
the
pointing out
narrative that you've
science.
accepted.
No.
Yes, it
I'm
is. It's
talking
the
science.
narrative
I'm
you've
not
accepted.
talking FED. I'm not talking quantum eraser. I'm talking science. No
Yes.
independent variable, no science, Brenda.
Prove it.
Go to any scientific establishment and ask them, can I do science
I
without
have.
an independent variable?
I have. I've
Go ahead.
studied the scientific method.
What's the
right.
scientific method?
Right. There isn't a single scientific method.
False again. What's the scientific method?
Prove it.
What's the scientific method, Brenda?
Prove it.
You're the one making the claim against
No,
science.
you're
not me.
making the claim that it's false against the entire
What is the first step
entire
of the
academic
scientific method?
world. The entire academic world disagrees with
What's
you.
the
and you
first
think
step
you
of
know
the
better.
scientific method,
You
Brenda?
think you know better.
What's the
to
first
ask,
step?
It's to ask a question.
What's the first step?
I just told you. Is to
Ask a question. Okay, next.
Yeah. Form a
Nick,
hypothesis.
what is ask the question, first of all?
It can be anything.
What's the question asked with general relativity?
Will light bend a certain amount when it
No, that's
passes
a
close?
hypothesis. That's
When it passes
you're trying to work
close.
at hypothesis. You can't go to hypothesis
Yeah.
without having observation first.
Yes, you can.
No. Observation
Of course
comes
you
before
can.
hypothesis.
You
Hypothesis is what you're hypothesizing
Yeah.
is caused by what you observed in the natural phenomena.
yeah, the natural phenomenon is light.
So the natural phenomena is light, okay?
Right.
What causes light?
That's not the question that we're asking. We're asking
You just said the natural phenomena is light, so that's
Yes.
the DV. What's the IV for the DV? So what's the
No,
IV
we're
for
asking if light truly travels in straight lines.
See what I'm saying? You have never studied science, Brenda. Sorry.
Yes, I
You
have.
made it very clear you are delusional.
You're
you
a
don't
painter.
know what the scientific method is.
You
don't know
spray
what
paint
philosophy is.
cars. You spray paint cars.
I choose to spray paint cars. It's what I
Yeah,
enjoy.
you're not a scientist either.
I never said I was a scientist, but I
Yeah,
definitely do know
so
science.
neither
much
am
better than
I.
you.
I don't claim to be a scientist.
But you claim to know science. You just claim
So
to study
you
science.
do too. You do too. You
I
claim
know
to know
science,
science.
yes.
No, you don't. You
Yes,
don't.
I do. Hence why I have
You
to
don't.
grill you on what basic science is, and you don't even
You
know
have
what
a
basic
belief. You have a belief that you know science. Is it true that you know science?
Yes,
That's a
I have
belief.
knowledge on
That's
science.
a belief. No, that's a belief.
No, that's not a belief.
Oh my gosh.
Knowledge
So
on
we're not
data.
getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. Maybe we should cut it off sometime, and maybe I'll school you on religion.
You haven't schooled me on anything.
You got absolutely you got destroyed.
Did I?
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Metaphorically speaking, of course. Right.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Goodbye.
I don't think so. I'm happy with the interaction. I think it went relatively well compared to last time. Right, Keith? So I think it went relatively well. I'm happy with it. We seem to be an impasse and not able to progress any further. So I'm going to bid adieu to
Thank
you
you, Brenda,
and
for
you
coming.
and
Adieu.
au revoir. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Yes,
It's
but
not
thanks
au
for bringing,
revoir,
I have
it's
to
au
say, at
revoir.
least you were cordial, so thank you for coming.
Au revoir. Merci. Merci.
Thank you.
La merde.
Oh, now you're swearing. Now
That's
you're
the
swearing.
first thing, dude. That's the first thing you should learn in any language. Is how to curse.
Why?
Because
I disagree. But thanks for coming, Brenda. Wow, delusional beyond belief.
Yep.
Wow. Absolutely. Knowing something is not knowledge. It's crazy. Okay. Well, it was
Deep
cordial at least.
indoctrination.
It was cordial at least. It was passive aggressive, I think.
Yeah.
So him telling me I shouldn't teach was validation that I should be teaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree.
But straight away, you shouldn't be teaching then. I mean, come on, what a thing to say.
I know. He wanted to get you in the weeds of, all these terminologies and stuff, and it's just like, my goodness.
I'm so glad you said that.
As soon as someone moves to the philosophy of science, I'd say, sorry, it's not science, because philosophy of science goes to pseudoscience. It's belief. Science doesn't belong in philosophy of science. You have to distinguish the difference between the two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think Brenda noticed it, but I loved it. Charles says, Jesus still loves you, brother. Like, yes. Well said. Oh, well, I don't want anything to live in my heart. My heart's for pumping blood. Well, that's where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Rich.
Those
You said
idols.
knowledge is not.
I know.
Yeed. Hello, Yeed. How's it going? Can you hear us, Yeed? Hello?
Is this someone you've seen before?
No, I'm just keeping in the back.
Yeah,
So
just
you can
in
talk.
case.
Yeah, Yeet can talk, but unfortunately, I just got you in the back just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, give me 2 minutes, guys. I've got to give myself a headache tablet. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
That happens when you talk to Brenda.
I need 2 IB Brendas.
Yes, it's inevitable.
Ibuprofen. I need 2 IB Brendas, please. And
400 milligrams of
philosophy. It's a philosophy. It is.
Well, that sounded really, really. Yeah, it was well said. Sounded very, very similar. You're not Brenda. Come on, Charles. Please don't you be Brenda.
I was like, I know my heart sank. I was like, oh. And this experiment, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, only I don't want Mattoon to go. That's crazy. I don't want anything to do with that guy.
Have you read what Yeet said? So it's obviously a troll Flats.
Yes, I'm glad I put it in back.
But of course, because it was probably going to Bomb Bomb.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
If you read the private chat.
Flats,
yeah,
was it a boy or a girl?
Oh, it was a boy. Yeah.
Okay, congratulations, dude.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he's very healthy. Very, very. God blesses us.
It looks like you, bro. He's got your shape of head.
That's cool.
Oh, I would love to carry on, guys, but I got a hell of a headache.
Yeah.
Migraine's coming up. So I'd rather go and sit and close my eyes.
In the dark room.
But I do appreciate you guys coming on. I think it was a good show.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
It was nice to do some flat earth stuff again as well.
Yeah. No, I always learn physics from you. You know.
Definitely.
You know? No, when I've gotten to flat Earth, that's all I learned a lot about cosmology and physics and the law of perspectives, and I learned a lot. I didn't learn anything at school.
That's it.
That's the thing. One thing I've also learned out of experience, not belief, Brenda, is a lot of things I learned in school I don't use today. You usually get knowledge and stuff by experience or learning things after school.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was the most useful thing? What, probably maths and literature, maths and English, probably. That was it.
To a degree.
To a degree, that's it. The rest of the stuff, history, you know what I mean, sociology, you know what I mean, all that kind of computer science. What's computer science?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said it's not, when I tell my students at the end of the year, it's not about the content. Yeah, the content's important, but what's really important is your character.
Right.
And don't ever take, my word for it or this person's word. Learn for yourself. Be a lifelong learner. That's I don't have time to explain that to Brenda there.
Of course.
But
yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks,
well,
guys.
I pray that headache goes away in Jesus' name. I command healing
much.
in your body right now.
Amen.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Bless guys.
So tomorrow night's PJ's on. Remember, I got Bible study tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central African time. Might start 8:30. It depends. But yeah, tomorrow night's Bible study, and PJ has his show at 9 o'clock Central African, correct?
Yeah, 8 p.m. GMT. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So see you guys again Wednesday. Many blessings, and may the pressure be with you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.